Morning. It is Wednesday, June 21st, 2017, 9 o'clock. It's summertime. I saw people in shorts and t-shirts a moment ago. Anyway, we're here for our weekly board session. We're in the Courthouse Square Center Hearing Room, 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. We start our meeting with Pledge of Allegiance, so please join.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, let's see. Public comment is always the first item. There are people here. Apparently they're not public, and there's no one signed up to speak. So let's move right into a rather short and concise consent calendar. Commissioner Carlson.
Well, thank you. So, Mr. Chair, I'll move today's consent calendar. Under Business Services, approve recommendation to adjust upward pay grade for classifications. Number 038, Election Board Worker. Number 119, EBW Labeling. Number 120, EBW Inserting. Number 121, EBW Processing. Number 122, EBW Recount. Number 129, EBW Archiving. Number 131, EBW Reader Room. Number 132, EBW Supervisor. Number 133, EBW PCPs Counting. Number 135, EBW General A. Number 145, EBW General B. Number 149, EBW Pre-Inspection. Number 150, EBW Duplicating. Number 151, EBW Write-ins. Number 153, EBW Opening. Number 500, Human Services Trainee. And number 604, Information Technology Intern. Under Community Services, approve an order approving the 2016-17 Business Development Grant and funding recommendations to the following: Fjord LTD, $50,000, and Rigaldo LLC, $50,000. Approve an order approving the 2016-17 Community Project Grant and funding recommendations to the following: City of Gates, $16,000, and City of Mount Angel, $15,000. Approve amendment number 1 to the contract for services with Ingalls and Associates, Inc. to add $156,000 for the Marion County Fair event. Under District Attorney's Office, approve amendment number 1 to the intergovernmental agreement with Oregon Department of Human Services to add $218,000 for the Juvenile Dependency Proceedings Contract, number 148549. Approve amendment number 1 to the intergovernmental agreement with Oregon Department of Human Services to add $272,362 for Juvenile Dependency Proceedings, Contract number 14779. Under Finance, approve and adopt the amendments to the Marion County Council of Economic Advisors Charter. Under Health, approve an order appointing Carrie Moeller, Ryan Matthews, Scott Richards, Pamela Hutchinson, and Sydney Nestor as County Financial Assistance Administrators through June 30th, 2019. Approve the contract for services with Jennifer Lucy Lamb, PMHNP, in the amount of $499,200 to provide psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner services with the behavioral health programs through April 30th, 2020. Approve the intergovernmental agreement with Oregon Health Authority in the amount of $360,000 for the foodborne illness prevention program. Approve the intergovernmental agreement with Oregon Health Authority for $23,719,987.04 for financial assistance on a biennium basis to operate and contract services for community addictions and mental health programs. Approve the intergovernmental agreement with Oregon Department of Human Services for $235,000 to provide strengthening, preserving, and reunifying families program. Under Public Works, approve the public improvement agreement with CPM Development Corp. for $3,047,289.15 to furnish and apply emulsified asphalt on various roads in Marion County. Approve the public improvement agreement with Albina Holding for $3.5 million to provide asphalt concrete resurfacing of the various Marion County roads. And receive hearings officer's decision approving variance case number 17-002, Harrell, clerk's file number 5727. And the last one under the Sheriff's Office, approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Marine Board to provide funding to conduct enforcement related to recreational boating in Oregon for $149,813 in incoming funds. That's my motion.
I'll second that short motion.
Very nicely done.
Good
I
job.
think that might be a record one. There's a lot of interesting things in here we go over awfully quickly. One, couple of grants that we gave, I'm pleased with, a trail from Mount Angel and a work to Gate City Hall, but a lot of items we handled very quickly here, but we have worked on.
Yeah, I think the message is it's getting towards the end of June, and so all these contracts are up, and they all have to get renewed in order to start the new cycle on July 1. So we see this pretty regularly when the end of the fiscal year happens.
And Mr. Chair, there are also those increases in wages are due to the,
Elections most.
it's mostly elections, but the new,
Market reviews,
no, the
No.
new
new minimum wage.
minimum wage.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. There was a request that you read it again, but I'm not going to.
No, I'm not doing that.
Then all in
Denied.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. I will move to the action portion of our meeting. Looks like they're all under, and I'll open the contract review board. The first is consider approval of the class special procurement to provide intensive family and youth peer support services with Oregon Family Support Network and Youth Move Oregon. So Justin Ford, Cindy Nestor, good morning, and Linda Wilson, wonderful. Go ahead.
Good morning, my name is Justin Ford. I'm a contracts compliance analyst for the Marion County Finance Department, and with me is...
Hi, Sydney Nestor, Division Director for the Health Department.
Morning, Commissioners and members of the board. Marion County Health Department seeks an exemption from Marion County public contracting rules pursuant to Section 20-285, which provides the use of alternative contracting methods as may be directed by the Board of Commissioners under ORS 279B-085. Oregon Family Support Network and the Youth Move Oregon have been providing program-specific intensive family and youth peer support services to residents of Marion County for more than a decade through the BCN and the Marion County Health Department. The county receives funding from the intergovernmental agreements from the Oregon Health Authority and agreements with BCN to contract with providers to provide the critical services. Contracting with Oregon Family Support Network and Youth Move Oregon will allow successful continuation of care and services to the county residents. It will not encourage favoritism or will not substantially diminish competition by delaying the decision for entering into contracts. And Marion County posted public notice on ORPN on June 12th and received no objections or protests. Marion County Health Department requests a class special procurement exemption to allow the use of multiple contracts for services to provide program-specific intensive family and youth peer support services beginning July 1st, 2017, and as may be needed for the 2017 and 2019 biennium, which ends June 30th, 2019.
Hello, I could just give you a little bit of information about the work that OFSN and Youth Move do. For about 10 years, both the BCN and Marion County Health Department have been contracting with Oregon Family Support Network, which is a statewide family-run organization that provides support to families who are raising children with special needs. We have primarily been contracting with OFSN to provide support through our MVRAP program, and over the last 2 years, we added an additional contract with OFSN to support our ED diversion work. The BCN has also been contracting with OFSN for that same period of time for the same work. So, for example, the county would maybe pay half of an FTE and the BCN would pay the other half of an FTE. We've been contracting with Youth Move Oregon for about 9 months. They provide peer services for our young adult rental assistance program. So the request is to move all of the contracting to the health department. The BCN will pass through the money that they have been providing to the OFSN and Youth Move. There's a couple advantages to us doing that. It provides better clinical oversight to the people who are actually providing the work, allows us to have better, clearer communication lines. And we've recently established a protocol at the health department to allow our peer-run organizations to encounter their work. through our billing system. So it allows us to accurately capture and record all of the peer services that are being delivered by those organizations, which is something that the BCN isn't able to do. You guys have any questions?
Are there?
I don't have questions, no.
Nope.
It's a
Okay.
great program.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve the class special procurement to provide intensive family and youth peer support services for Oregon Family Support Network and Youth Move Oregon.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded, and I'm sorry if I didn't hear, but just in the recommendation, it talks about continuing relationships. There's a key reason here. That makes good sense to me. So anyway, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next is a consider approval of a class special procurement to provide adult foster care services through the 2017-19 biennium. Cindy Nestor again and Camber Schlag. Camber, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners and members of the board. My name is Camber Schlag, and I'm the Contracts and Procurement Manager with the Marion County Finance Department. And with me this morning again is Sydney Nestor. So we are before you today because the Marion County Health Department seeks an exemption from the public contracting rules pursuant to Section 20-0285, which provides for the use of alternative contracting methods. Adult foster care services are services delivered to individuals with chronic or severe mental illness who are in need of further stabilization in a licensed care setting for the potential of transitioning into an integrated setting. The county receives the funding for this through the intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Health Authority. Currently, the health department has identified 14 providers with the addition of additional providers that are qualified to provide these foster care services will allow the successful continuation of care and services to county residents. This will not encourage favoritism or diminish competition because they would be allowing additional vendors to come in who are qualified. Marion County Health Department posted a public notice on June 8th, and it closed on June 14th with no protests. So Marion County Health Department requests a class special procurement exemption to allow the use of multiple contracts for services to provide the adult foster care services beginning July 1st, 2017, and as may be needed through the 2017-19 biennium.
Sure, I can just say a little bit. We primarily use adult foster home for individuals who are discharging out of the state hospital or acute care. And as part of the Oregon Performance Plan with the DOJ, we're under really tight constraints over how quickly we need to be able to assist people in transition. And so having these contracts already in place with available and approved providers allows us to quickly place individuals who are in need of adult foster home.
Questions or comments?
Just one question, and a little off the topic of being the contract review board and more on the program, but I know we were struggling with rates for adult foster care, had some discussions over at the legislature. Can you just tell us where we're at with that? Are these providers willing to continue as providers? Are we struggling to find placements? How are we doing with that?
These providers that are all on this that you have before you are long-term providers who have figured out a way essentially to make it work. We did get another closure notice a few weeks ago of a long-term provider. We're finding challenges with serving our more high needs individuals. So it's hard, but these providers are the most seasoned and experienced of the providers.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, I would move approval of the class special procurement to provide adult foster care services throughout the 2017-19 biennium.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve this class special procurement. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes.
Okay,
And I'm
thank you.
supposed to call you Sydney, not Cindy. I apologize.
That's
And
I didn't even notice.
Commissioner Cameron wants the world to know that this meeting is for the first time on Facebook, and he's writing comments. It's driving me nuts.
No, I'm not. I'm I'm actually,
We're all distracted up here.
actually, I haven't seen it live. I just saw a picture of us, but it is on Facebook Live supposedly, but I can't
Okay.
dial it in. I'm sure Jolene's up there trying to figure it out.
Well, while you're doing that, let's consider approval of the special procurement to maintain the county's land record system with Conduent Incorporated. Jacob Klotfelter and Bill Burgess, good morning.
Excuse me. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jacob Klotfelter. I am a contracts compliance analyst with the Finance Department, and I'm sure everybody knows Bill Burgess, the Marion County Clerk. We have before you today a board order that will allow the use of a special procurement to extend an existing contract with Conduent, Inc. for a land records system and professional services. The Marion County Clerk's Office is contracted with Conduent, formerly Xerox, and before that ACS Enterprise Solutions, to provide the landmark records management system since 1999. There was a previous agreement for a different system for approximately 6 years before that. So we've been in business with these folks for almost 25 years. The special procurement would extend the existing agreement for 3 years and add approximately $555,000 to the not-to-exceed value for the contract. We have posted public notice and received no comments or objections to the special procurement, and finance staff recommends approval in accordance with or pursuant to Marion County Contracting Rules Section 20-0285 and ORS 279B.285. Bill's here to discuss the system if you have any questions.
Go ahead, Bill.
This is the system that we use when people bring in deeds, liens, mortgages, other types of land records. We take in between 50 and 60,000 documents a year now. At the heyday, we were taking in more like 85,000 documents a year. This is also a system that we use to scan these in so that we could make microfilm for forever records. It's also the system that we use for indexing so people can find the things, the documents, and it's we have a public search area where people can look, the public and title companies can come and look things up. We also have this connected to the assessor's office, the surveyor's office, and planning so that they can also get into these documents too. And it's a very integral part to our system. It's also our cashiering and management system. We do now have e-recording where more than half our documents are coming in electronically from all over the United States to record the documents, which is much more efficient than we've had in the past, and we don't have to mail them back either that way when they do that. This is also the system that we use for marriage licenses, and this is a very busy year for marriage licenses, or time of year. When the sun's shining, we do lots of marriage licenses, and so this is our system for producing the licenses and then tracking the licenses when they come back before we send them off to the vital records. It's also the system we use for cashiering even elections, things like when candidates come in for elections or for their filing fees or for the voters pamphlet statements and all that. So this is a very integral system that we would like to keep moving. We're also looking at, you may have been aware, you may have had some calls when we had some problems when we got behind on indexing here a little back when we lost one of our best indexers. This is the system that we use to try to keep all of that up too. And we're looking at maybe bringing indexing in-house, which would actually reduce the fees that you see here. About 2/3 or 3/4 of the per document fee is for indexing. And if we bring that in-house, we won't be paying that to this vendor. It might, whether it cost us more or not, we're not sure, but we would have more control over the timing of the indexing.
Right?
And one more thing, we are looking at upgrading. This is a contract that would allow us 3 years. In the interim, if situations change and we could go look at upgrading, we can remove ourselves from this contract, I believe, within 60 days. Is that right?
Right, or mutual termination immediately.
Okay.
And they have brought a proposal forward to us for a very more modern upgrade from the legacy 1999 system. That we may be coming back to you on that if that seems feasible.
For motion, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve the special procurement to maintain the county's land record system with Conduit, Inc.
Second?
All right, so moved and seconded to approve the special procurement for Conduit, Inc. Any further discussion? I hear none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Both. Good luck. Our next item is consider approval of the sole source for software license and maintenance support fees for the county's assessment and taxation software with Tyler Technologies Incorporated, Camber Schlegg and Camber. Good morning again.
Good morning again, Commissioners and members of the board. For the record, I'm Camber Schlegg, Contracts and Procurement Manager with the Finance Department here at Marion County. Marion County Information Technology Department and the Assessor's Office is requesting an exemption to allow for the use of a sole source procurement for the renewal of software and maintenance support fees for the county's assessment and taxation software. The Assessor Tax Office converted all assessment and taxation information and processes to this vendor solution, TSG, the software group, also known as Tyler Technologies, in 1997. The computer product serves as the core system for all data relating to ownership, lot size, sales activity, inventory on all improvements to land, special assessment information, and other related data. The Assessor's Office uses it to calculate all tax rates, urban renewal, joint values with other counties, and other functions at roll turn. That occurred the last 2 weeks in September until the tax roll is certified. The annual renewal of the software licenses and its attendant upgrades, maintenance patches, and technical support is necessary for the continued utilization of this software application at the county. The renewal of this software application license would allow for the efficient utilization of existing goods and services as described in the Marion County Public Contracting Rules in Section 20-0275. The Marion County Information Technology Department posted a public notice on June 12th, and it closed on June 19th with no protests received. The county plans to implement a new assessment and taxation software application product during the fiscal year of 17-18, allowing renewal of existing software maintenance contracts for 1 year with an option to renew for 1 additional year. Will provide the staff with sufficient time to develop the contract or a solicitation and release it in order to contract with a new vendor. The Information Technology Department and the Assessor's Office request that the county consider approval of this sole source procurement for the renewal of Tyler Technologies software application licenses for 1 year term through June 30th, 2018 at a cost of approximately $348,070. It's $169,790 per year with a 5% annual increase applied each year after. So that would be for the 2 years that we're requesting to come forward for. Any questions?
Just wonder if the assessor has anything he wants to say about it? No? You're good with it?
Mr. Chair,
Thank you. Go ahead.
this software is a problem, and we've got to do something about it. Tyler Technologies is really not supporting it any longer. The problem we have in Oregon is our Oregon assessment system is not easy to put in an electronic system because of 5 and 50 makes it very complicated. We've tried several times with other vendors and they've failed. So we're hoping that some of the current vendors in other counties can meet our specifications, and we can move off of Tyler's software onto a different system. But as you know, moving to a different system is both expensive and difficult. So we're going to plan this the best we can as we move forward.
Okay. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Maybe we should, next session, file a bill that would require the legislature to find the software to handle the property tax system that they continue to give us. How's that sound?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner.
I wish I would have known that when I was there. I would have filed that bill for us.
As Camber knows, I have argued with the Department of Revenue for years about the fact that they don't support assessment taxation systems. We've always needed, in Oregon, a statewide system, but it's never been funded. It's never been approached even by the Department of Revenue, which I find abysmal, quite frankly.
Doesn't
Thank
mean
you.
we can't do it.
No, it doesn't, but we can try.
Oh, they give us CAFA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so, Mr.
Well,
Chair?
they got all that Cover Oregon work, maybe they could convert it. Go ahead.
I was gonna make a motion,
Let's
is
do
that okay?
DMV too. Yeah, I'm sure they could come up with something good for us. Thank you.
I move approval of the sole source for software license and maintenance support fees for the county's assessment and taxation software with Tyler Technologies, Inc.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's moved and seconded to approve the software license with Tyler Technologies, Inc. Any further discussion?
Thank
Hearing
you.
none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Camber, thank you again.
Thank you.
Oh, you're still here.
I'm still here.
Consider a recommendation to deny AAA ProStar Security Incorporated protest letter regarding unarmed security and patrol services request for proposal. So Camber and Dwight Bowles?
Bowles, yes, sir.
Bowles, thank you.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Camber Schlag. I'm the Contracts and Procurement Manager with the Finance Department here at Marion County, and with me I have Dwight Bowles.
Dwight Bowles, Contract Specialist, Marion County Health Department.
All right. And we are before you today because the Marion County Health Department issued an RFP for unarmed security and patrol services on March 6, 2017. It closed on March 27, 2017. The purpose of the RFP was to obtain qualified firms to provide vehicular patrol and unarmed security services to 4 of the health department locations. 7 proposals were received in response to the RFP. 6 were found responsive specifically for vehicular patrol and unarmed security services. On May 17th, 2017, AAA ProStar Security Incorporated issued a protest letter to Dwight Bowles, Senior Contract Specialist. A copy of the protest letter received by AAA ProStar Security is attached to the packet that you have with you today. The primary issue raised with AAA ProStar Security Incorporated is basically, as I read it, in conclusion, we scored a maximum score and indicated that a financial consideration, our proposal met or exceeded Marion County Health Department's criteria. While providing security services for the Marion County Health Department, we have never increased rates, and that would retain the same rates in the future as well. AAA ProStar Security has retained a long list of long-term and satisfied clientele, which is proven through our maximum reference score. During our tenure as a security service provider with Marion County, we have ensured you, the client, have received the best service possible. The county evaluated the 6 proposals against the 4 areas of evaluation: understanding the requested services project, experience and qualifications, cost proposal, and references. The evaluators provided comments regarding the proposals and scores given. A copy of each evaluator's evaluation and scoring sheet document is attached. The total points for ProStar Security Incorporated was 257 out of 300, whereas the awarded proposer scored a 267 out of 300. Under Marion County Public Contracting Rules 20-0740, protest and judicial review of contract award, an offeror's written protest shall specify the grounds for the protest and be considered by the county pursuant to ORS 279B.410. So AAA ProStar Security Incorporated failed to specify the grounds for its protest. AAA ProStar Security, received a lower total score than the awarded proposer. In its letter, AAA ProStar indicates that it received a maximum score, which we believe relates to their cost proposal. Both AAA ProStar Security and the selected proposer received the same scores for their cost proposal. However, AAA ProStar did not receive the highest total score for the RFP. AAA ProStar does not contend that all higher-ranked proposers were non-responsive or that the evaluation process was not in accordance with the criteria or processes described in the solicitation materials, or that the evaluation process was contrary to the public contracting statutes. So therefore, as the Marion County Contracts and Procurement Manager, I have reviewed the evaluation documentation and scores for this RFP, and I have found no mathematical errors. And I am requesting that the review board may, option 1, deny the protest and direct award to Advanced Security, cancel the RFP and direct reissuance of a new RFP with revised evaluation criteria, or 3, approve the protest and direct award to AAA ProStar Security Incorporated. Since the Marion County Finance Department can identify no basis for AAA ProStar's appeal, I am recommending that the board choose option 1 to deny the protest and direct award to Advanced Security.
So I found this really confusing when I was reading it, and now I figured out why, and that's because we only have one score sheet attached to in our packet and online. So I don't know if the rest of them are in the packet that Christy has or not, but so what we have in our packet is the cover sheet, the 2 pages that you just read to us, their letter, and then the solicitation award transmittal cover sheet, and then 1 score sheet. And when I look at that score sheet, I can't tell who it's for. So there's no comparison basis. So
Okay.
So I think that's why I was confused, because the write-up, I don't think, had all of the information that you read to us. And so that,
Which,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, so
it,
I'm looking, Commissioner, I'm looking at a score sheet that has 3 individual, or
3 individuals
1, 2,
rated,
3, right?
rated 1 proposal, and they reviewed twice, right? You had a preliminary and a final on each one. So that would be for, so I don't know, and it doesn't say which vendor this one is about.
Scoring summary request.
Let me provide you with this document. Hold on.
Is this the final scoring summary sheet that I'm looking at?
Well, is that just, I don't know who this is for. It says request for proposal, unarmed security and patrol services. So number 1 is one of the persons evaluating, 2 is a different person
But the
evaluating, 3 is a third
267
person.
is for the person that we gave the award to, and the 257 is for the challenger, for the person that's
Okay.
protesting. Those were the numbers she gave us.
I see. Okay, that's why I was confused, because I couldn't tell which vendor was
Yeah,
whom.
sorry about that.
All right, okay.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the first matrix there is for advanced security and with a total score of 267. And the second matrix is for AAA ProStar with a total score of 257, and those are the ones who filed the protest. The first one is the one that had the highest overall score.
So then the second question I have then is if this is comparing, because I thought there was a preliminary scoring and a secondary scoring. There are 2 different ones. Why is number 2 for the advanced security experience and references, and number 2 for AAA ProStar proposed solution? Why are they being rated on 2 different categories there? Can you see?
Yeah, I didn't pick that up. I see that what you just asked.
So that's where I thought that it was 2 different times, that perhaps you rated it in one way on one time and one way on the other.
So phase 1 was understanding the requested services, experience and qualifications, cost and reference, and then phase 2 was the interview.
So you just labeled it differently on these 2? So if you look at 2 on your sheet, the top one says experience and references, the second one says proposed solution.
It could be, my guess is it's a typo.
Okay, so they were rated on exactly
Yes.
the same thing?
Yes, they were exactly
Even though
the same.
it doesn't look like they were rated on the same things on this piece of paper?
Correct. So I'm sorry for the typo. But yes, they were rated on the exact same things.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So that is a typo.
So what was number 2 then? Can you reiterate that?
Number 2 is experience and qualifications.
Okay, so experience and references should be what's listed on number 2 down below as well.
References should be item 4.
Oh, so it should be experience and qualifications on number 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's most of the difference.
Okay. And so on experience and qualifications, what types of things did the committee look for?
Say this one.
What were you looking for under this section?
I don't have more.
Okay, I've got mine.
I don't have any of the sheets with me, so.
Hmm?
I don't have the sheets for Judy.
Okay. So under experience and qualifications, typically that's a look at past practice, how did they compare, how do they perform the services, what have they done in the past, what did they do for Marion County? Those are the types of things that, how long have they been in business, who are their past clients?
Training.
And I'm assuming
What
from the
training have
letter
they
that
had?
that the one that's protesting actually is the current vendor and you're,
Correct.
Yes,
okay. So it's not just whether or not they have experience doing the service or experience with Marion County, because that vendor has been for Marion County, but perhaps an evaluation of how well they're doing the service with Marion County?
it's how well they have provided the services to all of their clients. How do they typically perform the services that we are requesting?
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, so I'm not a really experienced evaluator, but we do these at EDAB, on grants. And I have a little concern that I'm looking at a evaluation sheet that, first of all, doesn't have the same words on it as I go through it. Is that an issue? There is a big difference between, when you look at where they were rated, the one that was confusing on number 2, the experience references versus proposed solution language. There's a 5-point difference there, but there's a 13-point difference on understanding the requested services and project. Now, without looking at the proposals, that obviously the award winner was substantially higher. So I don't know, I guess I'm just a little confused as to, was it real clear to the evaluators because of that when I was evaluating it?
I have an addition, this is a document that has all of the evaluated.
And the words are the same on it?
Yes,
So this typo is just on when you transpose
yes.
the final numbers? Okay,
Correct.
thank you, that's all I needed to hear. I need to see that, though. All right, that's all. You ready for a
If we
motion?
could get a copy of this for the record later.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good. Ready for a motion, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'll make a recommendation to deny AAA ProStart Security, Inc. protest letter regarding unarmed security and patrol services request for proposal.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to deny AAA ProStar Securities protest letter and award to, it doesn't say that. We're clear anyway?
I
Yeah.
hope so.
All right, then all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cameron.
Thank you.
All right. Let's close the contract review board and take a final action item under Public Works, and then we'll have 2 public hearings and then take action on those. So, we'll consider approval of a resolution and initiating consideration of amendments to the Marion County Code, Chapter 16, to permit accessory dwelling units in certain zones. Brandon Reich, good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. For the record, Brandon Reich, staff representing the Planning Division of Public Works. Marion County may consider allowing accessory dwelling units in the urban areas of the county in certain zones. These areas are those inside urban growth boundaries outside the city limits, in the areas where the county applies urban zoning to properties before they are annexed. Some cities in Marion County have adopted zoning provisions to permit accessory dwelling units already. Aurora, Silverton, and Kaiser, and most recently Salem is looking at adopting provisions. Accessory dwelling units are living spaces placed on a property in conjunction with the residents already on the property. ADUs are generally smaller in scale than the existing residence and have standards in place to maintain the residential nature of the neighborhood they are placed in. In addition, ADUs provide needed affordable housing for many members of our community, such as a person's parents or children returning to live on a property with their family, units being rented to persons working in the area, or persons going to school in the area. If the board agrees to initiate the amendments to consider allowing ADUs in urban areas, staff would work with the County Planning Commission to hold the first hearing on the matter. The commission would then develop a recommendation for the board to consider at its own hearing, maybe later this year. Before the board today is a resolution that initiates the process for the board to consider amendments to the Marion County Urban Zone Code and directs the Planning Commission to hold a hearing on the matter and provide a recommendation to the board. Staff recommends the resolution be approved as provided. With that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
No, just a comment. Just want to say that this is something that the Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative Task Force looked at and actually recommended. This is within the urban growth boundary, right? So it's clearly within what the law allows. So we had a little bit of a discussion with the legislature about allowing this in rural areas, and we're not able to kind of get over that hurdle, at least this session. We'll
Not
see how
much of a
things
discussion.
move in the future, but so it's just great because it's just a tool in the toolbox. So there probably won't be massive numbers of people that decide they want accessory dwelling units, but right now for people that do want them, as you're saying, it allows an opportunity for people to live closer to family if they want to, and to have kind of this adjunct to the main dwelling that allows kitchen and bathroom facilities in it, right, which is the difference.
Correct.
And then I think what the Planning Commission will consider, just as the city of Salem and other jurisdictions have done, is are we going to have maximum sizes? Are we going to have setback requirements? I think parking has been a big issue for Salem, so those types of parameters will come back to us. So thank you for
Yes.
initiating this.
Everything?
No, it's good.
You know, Brandon, I do, and commissioners just mentioned some, but I'm gonna be real sensitive. I'm not opposed to this. In fact, I'm in favor. I like the use of getting to use the idea of getting to use your property more fully. But I'm real concerned about the livability issues, watching different things that have come up in Portland, the setbacks, privacy issues that could come up. Commissioner mentioned parking. There could be a list of things. So I'm gonna really be looking for those things that allow the full use of your property, but still protect the livability of the neighborhood. All right.
So, Mr. Chair, I would move that the board approve this resolution initiating consideration of amendments to Marion County Code Chapter 16 to permit accessory dwelling units in certain zones.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution that initiates amendments to Marion County Chapter 16 to permit accessory dwelling units. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it is now time. We'll have two hearings. The first is consider approval of a resolution that adopts the third supplemental budget for fiscal year 2017 and 18. Debbie Gregg's here and ready to show us something.
16, 17.
Okay, it says 17, 18, but this is 16,
Yeah,
17.
should be 16, 17.
Fine. 16, 17, we're clear to there. And then what happened?
Debbie Gray, Grants Compliance Analyst, Finance Department.
Check the mic, I don't know if it's on.
Is it not on? Hello? Yeah. It's on? I'll just make a little
Yeah,
switcheroo.
much better, yeah.
All right. Again, Debbie Gray, Grants Compliance Analyst, Finance Department, here to present the third supplemental budget for the current fiscal year, 2016-2017. So I have just a few highlights to provide for you. In accordance with Oregon local budget law, we have posted this public notice of this meeting in the Statesman Journal and also on the finance website as of June 16th. We also have a public copy of the third supplemental changes in the detail up in the board's office available for public view. We held a work session on June 6th to go over the detail of the third supplemental budget. There has been one additional change since that time. The legal department has requested an additional $25,000 to cover some under-budgeted personnel costs in various areas, such as cost of living increases, temporary wages, some retirement costs, PERS costs, and also health insurance costs. Briefly, there has been 8 funds that have actually had increases in this third supplemental. One fund actually decreased in their total fund budget, the dog control, and I'll go into some detail around that in a minute. The other 7 funds that had changes just really had shifts between categories within the various line items, and so there was zero net effect in those funds. So I'll go over in detail the increases and decreases in the funds. For the general fund change, contingency is requested to be reduced by $168,000. This is for the district attorney's office for $23,000, and that was most of these. The first 2 are due to personnel costs to avoid any kind of over expenditure of the budget. Treasurer's office is also requesting $10,000 to cover personnel service costs. There is a general fund transfer to various departments and funds of $134,000, one to the legal counsel, which I discussed. The actual general fund transfer is $17,000. There's also $8,000 in additional billings and other fees and revenues that will also attribute to the total $25,000 that is being requested, increase in their budget. The dog control is requesting general fund transfer of $67,500 to cover general operating costs. The license and permit fee revenue that was originally budgeted was slightly higher than what is actually going to be collected and received. So we're actually reducing license and fee permit revenue by $101,000, offset by some donations that are being received of $8,500, and then also some personnel service vacancy savings, which leads to the $67,500 request in general fund to cover those additional operating costs. There is also a capital improvement project. The general fund transfer will be transferring funds to $50,000 for, that's the jail door lock retrofit to be completed. So it's a total increase for all the funds for this third supplemental of just over $1 million. So here's a summary of all the changes, the increases and decreases. The first 5 funds actually have to do with grants. The district attorney's office received some additional federal revenues of $18,000 in grants. Traffic safety team received a grant from the Oregon Department of Transportation for their speed enhancement enforcement. Sheriff's Office has received 2 grants of $57,500. One of them, let's see, let me get to the right page. One was from the Department of Public Safety and Standards and Training, and the other one was from the Oregon State Hospital. Health also received additional funding for the Access to Recovery Grant Program of $95,000, and then they also received a grant from the Salem Hospital, a Sleep Safe grant that we need to account for this year. County Schools is increasing $170,000 from a couple different sources. The U.S. National Forest federal revenues is increasing by $108,000 for revenues that we're receiving, and also the Chapter 530 state revenues of about $61,000, and those will all be distributed to the schools per statute. Dog control we discussed, and it's actually decreasing. Their total fund budget is decreasing by $25,000. Central services, again, the legal department changed $25,000. Fleet management is increasing by $36,000 due to M&S and capital outlay for some radio equipment to outfit some light-duty vehicles. And finally, capital improvement projects increasing $595,000. Again, due to that jail detention door lock retrofit of $50,000, and then in a transfer from the facility renovation fund to capital improvement projects for $531,000. That'll go to contingency. That sums it all up. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions?
We've been through this.
Yep.
I don't have questions.
All right, we have no questions, and perhaps a motion to close the public hearing and accept the third supplemental budget and resolution.
Do we have anyone here?
There was no one signed up to speak. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I will move that we close the public hearing and approve a resolution to adopt the third supplemental budget for fiscal year 2016-17.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing and approve third supplemental budget and the resolution. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Got hung up a little bit,
Well,
it passed.
Yeah,
You know,
it was that,
it
it's
was
the
a moment-
Facebook
It was a
Live
moment,
thing.
so I'm still, you know how easily confused I get? So when you look at these sheets, I had gone down to see which motions I was
Oh.
supposed to make,
And it
and
didn't match, because that'll be the next one.
exactly.
All right,
I
fine.
got- I got
It makes
lost
sense.
on how the sheets
It's not
are.
right, but it makes sense.
That's why I was slow. Not because I didn't understand what I was doing, just.
All right, let's leave it there and move on to the next public hearing. An important one, consider approval of a resolution to adopt the fiscal year, I hope it's 2017-18 budget and
I
make
hope so.
related appropriations and impose and categorize property taxes. John Latimer. Are you here to tell us something's different than what went on before, or what?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Nothing's different.
All right, if you'd go ahead then.
All right. One of the things, and these are some of the things I've talked about before, but I think they're really important for Marion County and Marion County government. We do have a very strong financial foundation in Marion County. Ever since the recession, almost depression we had starting in the fourth quarter of '08, we've managed to get through that recession with as little pain as possible and maintain that strong financial foundation. We continue to have a structurally balanced budget in all departments and all funds. Our programs are aligned with ongoing revenues, whether it's the general fund or other funds. One of the things that we've been able to do as our revenues have come up and interest rates have gone down, we've been able to borrow money from banks to really work on our infrastructure. As you know, many of our buildings are very old and in not good shape. So the recommendation is that we continue to invest in our infrastructure and within the constraints of our budget. But we're able to do that now and in the future. We still have a rainy day reserve fund for PERS mitigation, and quite frankly, we have some of the best financial management in the state. We're really trying to prepare for the future, and that's really in trying to upgrade our infrastructure in many ways. We've got major facility upgrades. We now have a plan for life cycle maintenance in all of our buildings and equipment. And some of those low interest rates, those projects, we remodeled Courthouse Square, the Health Services Building, and we're now embarking on building some new buildings, 2 out at the Sheriff's campus, a new central Sheriff's Command Office, and a new parole and probation building, as well as fixing our, I always get the name of that wrong, because the sheriff changed it, work release center. They don't call it that anymore. Transition center. And we also have funds in here for a facility for reentry. With these changes in our infrastructure and the ongoing maintenance, the buildings will be much less costly to maintain, and they should last 30 to 50 years. So what you'll find in these new buildings is a safe, efficient space for our clients and for our employees. I talked a little bit about this in my budget message about budget drivers. We are always concerned about those things that increase our budget. So we watch them very carefully. There are multiple variables that affect the county budget, and they're both internal and external factors. You know, the county population is growing. Since 2012, it's up 13,000 people, and continues to grow. We've added jobs in the county. Marion County unemployment rate has dropped dramatically since 2012. And so the population and the economy has driven requests for services. And so we need to continually keep up with our service delivery that increase our costs. The biggest budget driver, keep in mind that Marion County is a service organization. To provide services, we need people to provide those services, and consequently, it's some of our highest costs are in the people we employ, and quite frankly, they do an excellent job. We provide services for the citizens of Marion County we do it very well, and mostly to citizen satisfaction. We've increased in this budget 26.27 FTE, and there have been increases in the cost of all of our FTE due to merit increases, market adjustments, PERS rates particularly, and COLAs. PERS and insurance are some of the biggest costs increases that we've seen. So personal services in this budget is $151 million, up $9.9 million or 7%. Much of that due to PERS and health costs. So salary and wages is $96 million, fringe benefits are $55 million, and fringe benefits equal 57% of salary and wages, 36% of total personnel costs. Health benefits $24 million, but PERS is now catching up with health. We used to think of PERS as being about half of what our health costs are. Now they're almost the same. We had about 10 departments with decision packages that were approved for a total of 1.6 million. The budget committee adjusted the budget with 3 adjustments. The budget committee added $33,400 to the county fair, made compensation adjustments of $65,271, and reduced a position in IT, saving $101,271. So the total adjustments actually reduced the budget by $66,532. Some of the biggest part of our overall budget is our capital budget and capital needs. I talked a little bit about this. The first item here, building improvements, are a whole large list of a variety of things that include maintenance on facilities, include IT maintenance and IT projects. Of course, we have the new juvenile courtroom and administration building, the sheriff's office campus construction, a capital and building equipment fund, which is really a reserve, and then public works and other funds, capital outlays. As you know, Public Works is working hard to get out and really work on our roads and bridges, and particularly they're paying attention to our gravel roads, which have caused problems for our residents. So the Budget Committee approved a general fund budget of $93,738,466, other funds of $318,642,911, for a total budget for over $400 million, $412,381,377. That's our total budget. And they recommended that budget to the Board of Commissioners for adoption. So I think I need to thank the budget team again, and really all of our Marion County employees who do such a great job in providing services to our folks in Marion County. The Budget Committee itself, our private sector members who sit through those budget meetings and do a great job helping the Budget Committee make the adjustments and approve the budget, and to our Marion County Economic Advisory Council, who helps us estimate our revenues. So, Mr. Chair, I would like to recommend to the board that you adopt the 2017-18 county budget.
All right, thank you. Questions or comments?
No questions, just comments. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John, what was the increase in FTEs? 29?
27.
7.
27.
Do we know how many of those were general fund versus other funds?
Most of them were other funds.
Other funds, yeah.
There were some general fund.
Health
Right, I know
department got,
A deputy, we
health
did.
department got,
At
Some
Health
of those-
Department.
Right.
right.
And Public Works, I think, had
And Public
yeah.
Works, yeah.
Okay.
We have one in finance, one in legal services, and one in
Sheriff.
sheriff, a couple on the sheriff,
Yeah.
and one in business services.
Thank you.
Yes,
Nice.
thank you.
The only other comments I'd say is just, again, we did this in the Budget Committee. We've been thoroughly through this, but great job that you and the team and Jeff, he's sitting back there and just really do a good job and make this a very smooth process and allow us to have the input when necessary and
Mr.
not
Chair,
when
thank you,
necessary.
Commissioner.
Yeah.
You know, we start this process in December, and we finish it here now in June. So one of the reasons we take that time to do it is that we're always very concerned that we're balancing and we have a good financial system that allows us to keep going year after year.
Would you like to go ahead?
I'd love to go ahead, thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Now, we do make a lot of comments in Budget Committee, so it almost seems a little bit redundant here to say the same things, but this is a different forum and a different record. So I do want to thank the Budget team for their excellent work. I was thinking too, we have really solid citizen members of our Budget Committee, and that makes the process enjoyable too, to be able to hear their perspective. So I want to express my appreciation for their service on this Budget Committee in reviewing the budget with us. And then the other thing that I was thinking is how much the departments work as a team with the board's office and the budget officer to really make this budget happen. So by the time it comes to the Budget Committee, you've had all those war room meetings and you've hashed out all of the various requests that the departments have brought. Sometimes those requests are approved, sometimes they're denied, sometimes you find other creative ways to maybe get to the same end, but without having the same level of budget impact. And I appreciate the willingness of the departments to go through that process. And there's some folks in the departments that spend a lot of time entering data, writing up narrative, and I think they should be commended for the work that they do, because it's very, very important work. And then I guess for me too, I think that we had a number of years where things were really tight. We were concerned about whether or not we'd have, well, one year we actually did have to reduce positions fairly significantly. I think we reduced more positions than we're adding this year. And went for a number of years with no increases for staff, and those were tough years. And now we've kind of seen some increase in property taxes, and we're able to free up some money and do some things. I'm very appreciative that we're able to bring the compensation of some of the employees up through the market studies that we talked about in the compensation group. And I know that we're working on that and continuing to do that cycle so that every 5 years people know that their jobs are going to be aligned with market. I think that's really important. The facilities part that you talked about, John, we were out at Public Works yesterday morning as commissioners doing the town hall with the employees and talking about that. And really, I mean, now the building that has been refurbished the least recently is the Public Works building. So, and when Alan said it was built in '98, I think he said, yeah. So
It was our new one.
Yeah, that was our new building, right? So this.
They are getting new carpet, though.
Well, Alan mentioned that he needed new carpet, so that's good to know that we're getting new carpet out there. But it's really nice to know that we've gone through that cycle with all of the buildings and now brought them up to date. And then on a personal note, there are several things in this budget that relate to the Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative. I mentioned that earlier on the accessory dwelling units, but the network of care and the reentry housing is something that I've been working on for, I think it's been 6 years or 7 years. Anyway, it's been a really long time. It feels like a really long time. And to have that finally going in the budget is something that I am very grateful for. So thank you. And thanks to the budget team and for my fellow commissioners for being willing to support those initiatives as well.
Mr. Chair, if I might, Commissioner Carlson raises a good point. We don't thank the folks in the departments enough that work on their departmental budgets, because they're finance people in every one of our departments that have to help put these budgets together and then change them when I don't agree with them. So they work very hard at it, and it helps us put this budget together.
Well, if I could, I would just like to affirm those comments that have already been made about the involvement in our budget and all the people that make it happen. You had a quote, I'm changing the words around, but excellent financial management. And I just want to acknowledge your, Mr. Latimer's, involvement in that and leadership in that, because I really appreciate it. And the citizens of Marion County either do or should. And nice job.
Thank you,
So,
Mr. Chair.
before we get too much more soppy, if that's English, let's finalize this.
No group hugs, huh?
Nope.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, I would move that we close the public hearing, and I'm assuming there's no one else that's signed
There
up
is no
to
one.
testify. And then I would move approval of the resolution adopting the fiscal year 2017-18 budget, making related appropriations, and imposing and categorizing property taxes.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded, and it's an important one, so I'll read it all. We approve the resolution that adopts fiscal year 2017-18 budget, make related appropriations, and impose and categorize property taxes. Any further discussion?
Just one little thing, I'm sorry. This budget that we have and what is online that people see is by fund, and that is the way that the law requires us to do it, is by fund. It is the most boring way for us to display our budget. And I did see the public notice in the paper where it's by program and it talks about what we're doing. I just love that. I just wanted to say, I really, every year when I look at that public notice, I think ours is the best one in the newspaper. So thank you for that too.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I might, you know, the law requires that we publish our budget by fund in the newspaper, which is, in my opinion, somewhat of a waste. The real budget is on our website by program, by category, throughout every department. And if people want to know what we're spending our money on, they get a much better view of it online.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Yep, I'm done.
All right, then is there something?
No, good.
Nope. Okay, very good. Then I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes, and December will come again soon. All right.
Yeah.
Let's make sure. I think we've covered everything.
Yep.
So the last thing to do is to read the places we'll be together, and then we'll get an update from Commissioner Cameron on comments. Wednesday noon to 1 o'clock, we'll have another employee town hall at the Health Department. We don't have an address, Center Street. No, it's here? I'm a
No,
little confused.
No, it's out at the health department.
Okay.
I think they renamed their conference
Oh,
room.
did they? All right, Silver Falls Conference Room A and B, and that's at Center Street at the Health Department. 11:30 to 12, we have a Vision Award presentation on the 22nd, that's tomorrow, at Silverton Conference Room, 5th floor, 555 Court Street, Northeast Salem. Thursday, noon to 1, another employee town hall. This will be in the Commissioner's Boardroom. It's on the 5th floor here in Courthouse Square, 555 Court Street. Monday, the 26th, 8:30 to 9, calendar review, Silverton Conference Room, 5th floor. That's followed at management update, same location, that's from 9 to 11, Silverton Conference Room. And then at 11 to noon, a BOC CAO meeting, executive session pursuant to ORS 1926602 ABD FH and I. Again, Silverton Conference Room, 5th floor. That's followed at 2:30 with the Cordon Road Project meeting, Silverton Conference Room, 5th floor. Then Tuesday, the 27th, 8:30 to 10, Community Corrections Board, Silverton Conference Room, 5th floor, Courthouse Square. Next Wednesday, the 28th of June, is our next board session here in this room, Senator Hearing Room, 1st floor, Courthouse Square. And then that afternoon, noon to 2, Inside Board of Directors and Mid-Willamette Jobs Council Annual Meeting. And then.
So could I just add, because I went
Yep.
through my calendar, they just noticed an executive session on Tuesday, the 27th at 10 a.m. for bargaining.
Okay.
So just bringing that out. And then we have actually it's at 11:30, an extended Public Safety Coordinating Council Steering Committee meeting. And probably that needs to be on the notice as well, even though there may not be two commissioners there, just because it runs out of the board office. This one, we're actually looking at dollars, so it's more than just an agenda-setting meeting, so
Okay,
we can add that onto the agenda and the notice, that would be great.
all right, fine. And I think that's all I have. Anybody else have any additions, confessions, anything?
So tell me about the Cordon Road project meeting. Is that about the overpass?
I think so, just see where it's going, kind of spur interest, and it is getting more interest, I'm happy to report, but Of course, that doesn't mean anything's gonna happen, but we'll keep it moving. Anything else special?
Well, it's the longest day of the year.
It is. This is my saddest day of the year.
Because.
Why? Because they start getting shorter?
Because
Goes the
it's
other
shorter,
way.
right? Exactly.
That's what-
And my happiest day of the year is December 21st, because it's just gonna be uphill from there.
You're just like Tammy, she does the same thing. I said, well, can't you just enjoy this long day?
I think my
Nope.
happiest day of the year is the first day when it's 80.
All right, I don't have any
Weather-wise.
particular happy days, I'm always happy.
You're always happy.
Except
Yeah,
right now.
but we know that about
All
you,
right.
Mr. Chair.
If I hear nothing else, I'm going to adjourn this meeting.